Football made simple. Become great at your craft by finding ways to make it simple for those around you. This is the Coaching 101 podcast hosted by Find a Way Productions with your co-hosts, Daniel Chamberlain and Kenny Simpson. What is happening, coaches? We are into the new year, well into the new year now. I don't know. I was looking, Kenny, and I think we didn't post an episode last week. So people are probably seeing this one saying, what happened to you guys? Well, the holidays, and yesterday was my birthday. So the birthday got us, and we were all sick for something. Man, it was a wild 2 to 3 weeks. So probably not an excuse to not post a podcast episode, but you get one today because I just saw it this morning when I got on to set things up for Kenny and I. So if you've been waiting for one, we did go live last week, so you got a live version. We just didn't get one on the stream, so we will get that fixed today. I believe it is the strength and conditioning episode. Actually, it's going to drop today.
Oh yeah, Coach Holmes. Yeah,
and we'll post another one up on Thursday as well. So we'll get back on schedule. Yeah. You just got back from AFCA and doing that's your first clinic of the year, right? The one in Charlotte.
It was. Yeah, Charlotte's always good. It's always been a good clinic, great host school, and had a little bit over 100 guys come out, that's our capacity. So we went a little bit over, but it was really, really good to connect with coaches. It's always cool to email and to do Zooms, and nothing like being face to face and being able to connect with guys. I've seen now several guys been to that clinic 4 years in a row. So it's cool to talk about how we've adjusted and we've evolved and hear how they've adjusted and how they've evolved. So really cool. And then I got a chance to speak at AFCA. Anytime you get a chance to go in there, it's always a lot of people and a new group. So this year I got to actually speak about gun T stuff. A couple of years ago, they invited me to speak about head coach stuff.
Right.
I didn't know how that would go because college coaches and anything with a T usually is not super well attended. But man, I had a big crowd. So it was interesting I had the RPOs on there to make sure guys showed up, but we talked buck sweep, and then we talked a little bit of RPO game, and it was really cool to connect to a lot of the, AFCA, if you've ever been to it, is about 80% young and upcoming college coaches that are trying to get a job or move their career up. So a lot of 25, 26, 27-year-olds learned a whole lot about buck sweep, at least for an hour, and then getting to connect with friends. We've had several on this podcast. We got to talk to Tony Holler. I got to meet him in person. Chris Haddad and his family. He's going to be with me in Boston. And I know you've got to meet him before.
For sure.
So get to connect with guys. That's what that's all about. So long story, busy weekend, very tired coach right now, and I've got to catch up on it because we have the cruise coming up.
That's right.
This weekend, which is really cool. I think we're going to take about 20 coaches and their wives, go out and do some clinic stuff, and I'll get out of the cold for at least a little bit.
We missed the stinking cutoff. Not really the cutoff. I guess we could still get on the wait list for like double the money, but we decided
you could come if you're willing to pay enough.
That's right. Financially, it was not prosperous for us to pay to go on the cruise this year. I don't know how we missed it. I thought we scheduled in like November or something. So
we're going to try to do it again. So if you're listening to podcasts, usually it's always around MLK weekend. We've been going out of Galveston, but we are open and we're looking at potentially going out of Florida maybe. But we're going to try to do it every year. I think it's important for coaches and wives to have some kind of opportunity to get out. So be listening, because I'd imagine the next couple of weeks we'll start putting it out. I usually try to find the cruise line that does kids for free, because I think that's been good for coaches.
Yeah. No, that's really neat. It's like we've got 2 and 1 on the way, so we'll be looking for. I need 3 kids to be free. I ain't trying to pay for all them little hoodlums.
3 makes it a little tougher. Yeah.
There we go. Kenny, I guess let's jump into our quote of the week real quick, and we'll talk about some supporters of the podcast, and we'll move on with today's topic.
Yeah, so quote of the week, this is actually going to be Team Theme 6. So I always kind of work a little bit ahead. So this is something we would have used this year. So basically what my Team Themes books are is it's pretty much a repeat of what my own team did. That way I know it works before I start giving it out to other people. But this one is out of Team Themes Volume 6. It says, this is a character, I think was the word that week. The quote says, "The greatest test of character is how you handle situations that you did not cause." I thought that was pretty important because we get a lot of "not my fault, not my fault. I don't need to worry about that. I don't care about that." That didn't work in a team setting. That really doesn't work in a leadership setting. That really doesn't work in a life setting. It's the other quote that I could have put was, 90% is what you do to what you didn't set up, how you respond to the situation. So
Yeah.
that was a pretty good quote. Again, that's out of Team Things. That will be volume 6. We have volumes 1 through 5 on the website if you're interested.
And guys, if you're not a I don't know how civilian guys say, we call it like a hua guy or just one of those super motivator. Maybe that's just not in your blood, right? Some of us are just X's and O's guys, and some of us are more relational, and maybe you're just the team organizer. Those Team Themes volumes 1 through 5 are amazing to get started. And you can buy the first one. It ain't like it's outdated because it's 5 years old, right? Those principles still matter today as much as they ever have. So grab them up, and it just gives you a weekly thing to talk about, right? You theme the week, you talk about it all week. Multiple coaches can talk, or you can have kids get up and talk. You can do all sorts of fun stuff with it. So I highly recommend if you don't have one of those books, snag one and kind of theme your weeks as you're keeping your, it gives you something to teach your kids. I think it's a sales point for your parents too. Like, look, you can give it to them. You know what I mean? Here's what we're going to talk about this year. This is the morals or the foundation we're trying to lay with your kids. So I think they're really neat. Jump in and get one of those books.
We've had, on that note, real quickly, we've had several schools that wanted to get it for their team. So obviously we have the books on the website you can go get, but if you're wanting to order 40, 50, 60, shoot me an email and then we'll set up. I'll just give them at cost. Like, I'm not trying to make any money on that. I'd love to get those books in the hands of kids, and it was really cool to get to do that at a few other schools.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. Real quick, talk about some sponsors of the podcast. Ace Sports, obviously being our big sponsor for years now. acesports.com. You can email mark.bridges@acesports.com. It is the cheat code to fundraising. You get a sweet video board. You get to show off your kids. Any sport, if you're listening over here and you're a bouncing ball coach, by all means, man, they have a setup for you. Michael Beaumont joined the team this year, or I guess last year now. We've crossed the new year line, but he built the Fort Smith North and South gymnasiums to be, they had to be twins, but man, he said they're better than most D1 arenas. I think D2 national championships or the playoffs are played there, or maybe it's one of the conferences in the area, but a lot of good basketballs played in those gymnasiums. So whatever it is you're trying to outfit, holler at Ace Sports and let them hook you up. The ad revenue on the backside is where your money is really made. Winning Edge Performance Analytics, dug through that product in our lap this year to kind of test, and we used it over at Bristow this year and loved it for in-game analytics. It's not the AI and like it's going to tell you what to call and what the defense is trying. No, it's just numbers, it's percentages. It's just letting you know what's working, what isn't, because it's all data you're inputting. So it really is just data analytics. There is a promo code there, 20 off coaching 101. As far as I know, that is still working. If you have any issues, hit me up, and I'll contact Doug as well. And then a new supporter of the podcast, Blended Threads LLC. Blended Threads is a company that is owned by a military buddy of mine and a police officer here in the state of Oklahoma, but he's handling accounts all over the nation. Steve Hudgens is his name. His daughter Morgan is the one that's running the shop, and they're making all of the custom apparel, shirts, hoodies, hats, embroidered, screen printed, anything you could imagine. Those guys can create. They're making it for coaches, teams, schools, small businesses. So if you're looking right now for a very good product and maybe not have to pay those big store prices, Steve has driven products multiple hours to get them to people to save shipping costs. He is that kind of a guy. He really just wants to watch people get good products in their hands. Phone number is 405-434-4385, or you can email Morgan at blendedthreadsllc.com. Morgan, Morgan at blendedthreadsllc.com. They're out of Jones, Oklahoma. I know Jones School Districts works with them, and Choctaw and a lot of those. And they're, like I said, they're spreading like wildfire. Let them know that Daniel and Kenny and the Coaching 101 podcast sent you, and Steve will take care of you. He's a good buddy of mine. All right, let's jump into it here, Kenny.
Hold on, before we get going too, I also want to put a little plug in here. We're also open to your company if you're a coach who's doing things. Like obviously we don't want money from that guy. He's just starting his own business. So if you're a coach, hey, on the side, coach, I also do X, Y, or Z, and you listen to the podcast, we can help you.
Yep.
We want to do that. We're not above taking free samples of whatever you have, but we'll help you spread your company because I think coaches supporting coaches is a wonderful thing, and it's what we're all about.
Yeah, for sure. I love it. Yep. Hit me up. Chamberlain, Chamberlain Football Consulting at gmail.com. If you have any business inquiries, you want to get something pitched on the podcast, just holler at me, shoot me an email, and we'll figure things out. All right, we're talking a little pin and pull today, Coach. I know we've talked about belly on the podcast before. We've talked about buck, which is kind of the base two plays out of the gun tee system, but we never have talked pin and pull and the reasons you use it and all that. So let's jump in first there. Kind of what is pin and pull in your system, and how does it differ from buck and belly, and how does it give you another play?
Yeah, I'll spin the first question here. The big question I get: what's different between buck and pin and pull, or what we've referred to as Trojan within our system? It's kind of like the inside zone versus the duo guys, and you're like, well, is there really a difference? And when you get in the nitty gritty, yeah, there is a difference. It's not huge, but it is a difference. So for us, pin and pull, we start on the outside. I mean, that's kind of where you have to start. Where buck is pretty hard set rules. You're going to block down. Pin and pull is not so much that way. It's usually more of a numbering or a counting type system. And the big difference between pin and pull and buck, in my opinion, is I think you can run pin and pull in a lot more formations and be successful than in buck. You can run buck in any formation, but it can be difficult if you don't have like an attached overhang or a wing or an H-back or a really physical type receiver. Pin and pull you're seeing at the NFL and collegiate levels on teams that's not really what they run. They just kind of have it. And so I think it is a much more fluid type play, mainly because the rules are not as hard and fast, and you're not going to end up usually with very difficult matchups. So that's the kind of real quick background. Then the biggest difference for me on pin and pull versus buck, again, is on the edge of buck, it's blocking down and then we're kicking out. Like that's the intent. Pin and pull is more like an outside zone variation almost, where we're going to try to pin guys down because that's easier. We're not very good at zone stepping. We don't run zone. We're not very good at it. It's difficult. It requires a running back who can really see it and read it. It requires linemen who are pretty talented and athletic. And some years we don't have either. And so some years we have both. Some years we don't have either. So we can't run just outside zone. We would really struggle with that. So we looked into pin and pull from Tim Murphy out of California, who runs shotgun double wing. Really successful guy, really good guy to look up if you want to know more about that stuff. And then we kind of modified it to fit our kids. So that was where it came from for us. Then it modified. But basically, we're going to number off number 1, number 2, number 3 from the outside in. Depending on how many players we have over there, that's who's got who. So essentially, your play side guys have a number. And if that number is not there, they pull. So it's a pretty simple deal. If let's say I've got just a tight end. So my tight end would have number 1, my tackle would have number 2, my guard would have number 3. If we get up there and there's a 1, 2, not a 3, I pull. So if we were to get up there with, let's say, a bunch set, and now my tackle doesn't have a number 3, he pulls. So you're starting to kind of get into that. Well, because of our system, we don't ever pull our center because we do some things a little bit different.
Right.
But theoretically, in pin and pull, you could pull your center because he would, in that option, he'd have number 4. So if he didn't have a 4, he could pull with us. We just block him back, and we pull our guard who's a little better puller. But the idea still is pretty simple. We're going to number off. Our job is to try to reach these people. So we teach reach a little bit different than others. Basically we're going to give our guys 3 steps, 1, 2, 3. If I can get my inside hand to the outside shoulder at any point, it could be on a snap, it could be on step 1, 2, or 3, then I'm going to get my inside arm into the outside shoulder and pin that guy down. Okay. If he fights me, so he also runs to the sideline or by alignment, he's way outside. I'm going to take my outside arm into his inside shoulder and just wall him off outside. So it's up to the pullers and the running back to recognize, did we get everything pinned? Did we get most of it pinned? Did we get none of it pinned? And then we would find the open gap with them. So there's a lot more in detail. I really can't do in a podcast, but our Trojan stuff over at the website, you can kind of get more drawings and that kind of stuff. But that's basically the essence of pin and pull for us. And it works really well with buck because a lot of times to stop buck sweep, people are trying to squeeze everything. And pin and pull, if you do that, you're going to give up the edge. And now we kind of give you 2 different looks. It's kind of like a pitcher. If you only throw fastballs, they're going to hit that eventually. So now we got to have a changeup. So pin and pull became kind of our changeup. Now it's become more of a staple in what we run, but it was intended to be that changeup. We throw fastball, we go buck, 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 pin and pull, and it became a big play for us. We started diving into it more, investigating it more, and then there's been years where it has been our number 1 play because it's subtly different than buck. And some years it fits our kids better than others.
I love that you've taken a play because that's not the base rules I learned for pin and pull, which is great because you took something and made it fit your system, and I love that. There's going to be some like gatekeepers out there going, "That's not pin and pull, right? Pin and pull is block down or pull." Like it's kind of the the duo rules is block down, double, block down or pull. If you don't have a down block, you're pulling out front. But it doesn't work for everybody, right? You got to figure out what works in your system to keep your system thriving. So I love that you've made that fit what you guys do, and kept it within a realm of like my kids can actually pull this off. You know what I mean? We didn't make it so complex or so different from everything else that your kid, like you said, it doesn't need to be a zone block because my kids don't zone block, right? They're good at what they do, and so we're going to keep it in that threshold. So I guess we got to talk about what really drove you to looking for that extra play. You obviously in a system that is built on few plays, many ways, you thought something was good enough to invest in to add another play. So what kind of sent you there? Was there a certain year? I know your 0-10 to 10-0 book is out this year. So was it that 0-10 season, or was it something after that was like, hey, we've got to have a third option here?
Yeah, no, it wasn't. We put the gun tee in 2016, I think. We did not put Trojan in until 2021, so it's 5 years later. Basically, when you run buck sweep, if you're a big buck sweep guy, you know that at some point it can be difficult to root guys out, to kick guys out. That block becomes kind of important and difficult if you start playing teams that have seen you now for 3, 4, 5 years, where they've seen buck a lot. So as we started running buck sweep more and more and more, you're kind of left with 2 options there. You can teach your guy how to log that. So basically we would pull, kick, and then if we couldn't get the kick, you can let your guard log it, where a lot of guys that they major in buck sweep, that's how they teach it. You pull out there, you're trying to kick. If you can't kick, you log it, and then your backside guard reads it on the fly and it hits wider. Okay. Nothing wrong with that because that's how a lot of guys do it. I'm not versed well enough in the wing tee, or I wasn't at the point to be good at that. We would try to do that and just didn't really work for us. Then our kid would run out there and he wouldn't know if he was kicking or logging, and so he wouldn't take a good angle, and it just became kind of a cluster. So we needed something where, okay, that's not we don't have to think, and then we kind of came into, okay, we're seeing a lot of teams that are lining up really tight because to stop buck sweep, you need to squeeze the air out of the CD gap. You basically, if you play a guy who's a force player in space, or he's like DB, you're not going to stop buck sweep. I hate to break it to you, but if you've got some guy out there who's, 5 yards outside, or he's a DB, then there's no reason for us to stop running buck sweep. We're going to keep running that.
For sure.
So people started figuring that out, and they started kind of putting bigger bodies tighter, like tighter to the line, to try to take that away. Make that block from the wing difficult, make there not much space between a 9 technique and a force player. So for us, that became, okay, well, I think the edge is kind of there. How do we get to that? So that's kind of where the origin came from. And so now your wing can basically reach a guy who's outside of him because the guy's technique is driving inside. And so that's where it started. So we ran Trojan in 2021, had a ton of success for it, and mainly it hit the edge because people didn't recognize what we were doing. 2022, same story. People didn't really know. Well, they start figuring out, we play the same teams, they start kind of figuring out, well, wait a minute, we're going to start reading the wing here, because we can't just keep diving inside, letting them get the edge. So then it turned into, okay, now we need to modify it again. So 2023, that's when we kind of went to that 1, 2, 3 rule and started allowing our guys to say, okay, we're going to have to read this block. It's not always going to hit the edge. We got to kind of read this, because in 21 and 22, we would just get on the edge. Poof,
yeah.
Poof, poof. Well, people started realizing what we're doing, and so it became a really good compliment because now that outside force player, what is he going to do? If we arc to you, you're supposed to widen. But if we down block, you're supposed to squeeze. Well, that sounds really good in theory. It's difficult because we're giving you different looks. And if you want that force player to be a DB, now we're setting up play action passes because now we're going to arc and block him, and now boom, now we're up the sideline. So it kind of morphed into what it's become now. But the intent for me was to protect buck sweep. And now it's kind of turned into a staple play that we run pretty often.
The ability to make those kids wrong again, I think is really what highlights this play for me because, like you said, in the buck series with your RPOs on the backside, they already have 1,000 things going through their mind, right? You're already reading guys on the front, now you're reading guys on the back, and now here's an entirely new play that, let's be honest, up front, it doesn't look that much different. It's a bunch of down blocking and pulling, and now we're just having to reach one edge, and now you're adding reading that where we're still cutting underneath it sometimes. So, man, that's
and a lot of it too. To hit this earlier is buck again. I kind of mentioned it at the beginning, but buck is difficult to run without an attached H back or wing. And I'm not saying you can't run it. I mean, I'm sure there are guys that are running buck sweep with just 11 like a tight end and nothing, but there's been a couple of years this year specifically where we lived in a whole lot of tight end trips.
Right.
Well, buck's not a great play call against that because if that 9 technique is sitting outside your tight end, you kind of have to go, okay, is he going to down block and we're going to kick a 9 who's really tight? Or are we going to tell our tight end, hey, I know we're running buck, but we're going to break your rule and I want you to lock onto this D end.
Right.
So that's where Trojan kind of solves that issue. Like he knows his rule. It kind of solves it for us. And so we got into a lot of that formation the last couple of years. I know a lot of guys that maybe listen to the podcast, they're not gun tee guys. So, if you've made it this far in the podcast, you're running spread, you can still run this because you can run it out of 10 personnel. I mean, the rules aren't not going to change. A lot of you guys, if you are getting bear front in a 10 personnel, this is a good play for you. I mean, it's a block down on the 4-eye, get that guard out there on the edge, and not a bad play for you. It's not a hard install, not real difficult. If you don't want them to live in it, it's not super difficult. So a lot of guys can run it.
What before we kind of, I guess it kind of does fit our third piece here. If a coach has really bought into the 1,000 formations mindset that you've kind of established here, do the kids understand it okay? Do the rules get too complex for you if you go tackle over tight end wing and you're pinching a wide receiver in there? I mean, they got a lot of counting. Has that been an issue for your guys?
Got to communicate. I mean, there is some communication stuff, especially because you said if you start kind of digging into lots of formations, but the rules don't change. And so I think that makes it simple where you start from the outside and work in and 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever it is. And 1, 2, I don't have a guy, poof, I'm gone. And so I think it allows you to run multiple formations. But like you did mention, you got to have communication. And then I get asked a lot, well, coach, what if you're out there counting 1, 2? Aren't they going to know you're running, Trojan? And well, we count 1, 2 every play. So like
Right.
we've trained our kids now, when you break the huddle, they just start pointing out there and counting it, whether we're running whatever. So you do have to kind of work that stuff. But like you said, I mean, and again, for us, we have certain guys that have certain rules depending on the year. So we may have some receivers where we're comfortable with them being in the count. If you're a guy that you're a physical receiver, you're a willing blocker, you can be in the count. And then we have a couple of guys, we just tell everybody he's not in the count. He's out here to catch the ball, he's out here to run the ball, he's out here to block corners. So if he's attached, we all know he's not in the count. He blocks a little guy because he is a little guy. And a lot of times they do what you did. They start laughing and it offends them until they start becoming better blockers. So they want to be in the count,
Get me in the club, coach.
but you're not in the club because you're too little and you're not a willing blocker. So we kind of use reality there. Or it could be a running back, or we're trying to kind of let basically go block a corner or whatever it's going to be. But when you teach the rules, I mean, it's a pretty simple play. In my opinion, it's easier to teach than Buck. Like Buck is a little more involved.
Yeah.
Trojan and our version of belly or power insert, as guys are saying, I don't think those are as difficult to teach because you're kind of using people's leverage against them. And the difficult part is sometimes I pull, sometimes I don't pull, and teaching how to pull. Like for us, that's where we spend a lot of our time because they're going to want to pull. They're not going to be very good at getting their eyes inside.
Yeah.
So we've had to do several different drills. We've worked with them several different ways because your pullers, they're not real comfortable all the time, getting out there in space and realizing. So you have to explain to them, well, guys, what does the number count start with? Well, coach, it starts with 1. Okay, so if it's 1, that means that's the closest guy to the sideline. And then we're 2, and then we're 3. So there's nobody out there for you to block.
Right.
So even though you're pulling wide, you got to get your eyes and your body back in here because they're coming from the inside. That's become the difficult part. And man, the years we have a running back with some vision, a lot of times we'll call Trojan and he'll see it. Stick that foot in the ground, that thing will bend back, just like outside zone would. So that's where it can become a little bit more difficult.
I can just imagine every big kid turns into a running back, right? When they hit the edge and it's just them in the end zone, they're probably like, I'm going to school. I don't have the rock.
You don't have the ball, go block.
But I'm headed that way anyways. All right, let's kind of hit this third part here, coach. So if somebody wants to put this play in, or maybe they're like you and they're just trying to problem solve within their own scheme, how does a coach put in a play like this, an accenting play to what they're already doing without really overwhelming their playbook?
Yeah, I think it's got to fit. Like if we were running, let's say we're running duo and inside zone, and then we put this in, be a little shocked because now you're asking guys to pull. That's something they don't normally do. Or
right.
How are you going to teach the down block? Because that's a little different than what they're doing. So I think a lot of times as coaches, you've got to kind of pick 2 or 3 worlds you live in and then make slight modifications off of that. Like you want to run inside zone and then run a fold block. That's probably pretty easy. I mean, we understand we're just kind of switching. You're not going to block out. This guy's going to fold underneath. That's a modification off what you're already running. If let's say you're running outside zone, your kids probably could easily run what we would call Trojan or pin and pull, whatever you want to call it, because they're just switching jobs. The difficulty comes in when you don't normally do a skill. When you're asking a lineman to do that skill, it becomes a much more expensive install. For us, pin and pull, our kids know how to down block and they know how to pull. So not a real expensive install for us because we already do those skills. It's just teaching the concept. I think to me, when you're looking in your own offense about should we add this, should we not add this, is this okay to put in? Those are the questions you need to ask. Like, your kids already have the skill set from a different play or concept, or they can just take that skill and apply it onto what they're already doing. Now if you really watch the evolution of our offense, we run Trojan both ways. So we'll run it to the nub side. But again, that was an easy install because our kids already have that skill set. Blocking down and pulling is something we already have in. So it allowed us to kind of add, a play call that didn't really take much time.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of what I look at. And then I think you also look at majors and minors. Like we're going to major in X, but we're going to minor in this thing. So for us, if you're listening here and you're going, well, Coach, I don't know, we need to add that. A lot of guys reach out to me, Coach, we think we're an inside zone, outside zone buck team. And I kind of go, that's interesting.
That
You
isn't.
can do that, but you need to major in one and minor in the other because there's only so many hours in the day. The techniques aren't the same. Which one are you going to say, this is what we're going to live with? And then which one are you going to kind of, I don't know what a better word is, so bastardize or change to not really what it is so that it fits what you're teaching. So like if I was going to run inside zone, outside zone, which I did at Cersei, we ran it with down blocks. That's not how you really run those plays.
Right.
But it fit what we did, and it gave me a change up that was inexpensive.
Yeah.
And I think the same thing with any concept you do. What are we going to major in? Then what are we going, okay, that might give us a little help. Nothing wrong with that. But you need to change it enough where your kids aren't having to learn 3 different techniques, and now you're not very good at any of them.
I think as a coach, if you're looking at adding, you got to be careful, right? Number one is redundancy. Let's just say you're running the gun tee and you hadn't installed Trojan yet, which is pin and pull. You really have kind of like a couple B gap to B gap plays, right? Belly or buck. Either one is, buck's a little more off tackle. You could call that a C gap play because we're really trying to get right, tight ends, but whatever. But, belly kind of hits where it hits. So you don't have an outside play built in yet. You know what I mean? There's none of those plays are built to hit the edge, like you said, Kenny. So if you're in a system, and maybe it isn't a gun tee, maybe it's whatever, and you don't have a play that hits the outside, find one. I would highly recommend it be one that fits whatever your base foundation is now. But if you already have one, don't add another one. I don't think coaches need to go out. You don't need outside zone and pin and pull and stretch and this and that. Like if you're struggling to get the edge, it's probably just getting better at what you're already doing. Maybe tagging it up. Maybe you're tossing it instead of handing it. Maybe you're
using formations.
Yes, formations. Right. So you don't need 3 inside plays because one of them isn't working. You need to get better at running your play inside. I also think I look at the play of duo, and I love duo because it is inside zone for a gap scheme mentality, right? It's full of down blocks. We teach it gap or double. And so if you're looking to answer a question, I need an inside run play where I can get double teams. Power's not getting it for me. Counter's not getting it for me. Buck isn't doing it. Belly isn't doing it. Duo is one of those plays that like it was inside zone backwards or power without a puller, whichever version of that you are, but it stays with the gap scheme mentality. So I'm not going in and installing inside zone. My kids aren't going to understand zone blocking and like, why would I change their mindset? Like, no, we're still down blocking if you've got a guy, and if not, you work to double. So I think finding a play like that, or take a play and change the rules and make it still hit the same. You don't have to go out and install the other. If you're a gap guy, don't go out and install the zone guy stuff just because I need another play, I guess is what I'm really trying to say at the end of the day. I like what you said, man. Just bastardize a play and make it fit what your kids are good at. Pin and pull ran 3 different ways. It's still pin and pull. Cool. You call it Trojan now.
It was what you said. I don't know if, like you said, that we call this pin and pull in the gun tee because that's probably not how everybody else is teaching it. It's just how we teach it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's wonderful. So if you are a guy and you're needing another play, first, you may not need another play. Get good at what you got. Look at your playbook. Kind of do an inventory. Do I have something A gap? Do I got something B gap? Do I got something off tackle? And then do I have something that hits the edge? If you don't have one of those, fine, go find a play. But if you have those, probably just get better, or you may drop one. That's something else we haven't really talked about is like if you want to add pin and pull to your system, you may have to take something else off your plate, right? So maybe you don't run outside zone anymore. You don't need the redundancy anyway. So just make sure you're aiming with something that fits your system, I guess. All right, I know it's a little bit shorter episode tonight, guys, or today. Coach, we just broke 30 minutes, but we're going to go ahead and get to the situation of the week. I'm going to shoot this one to you, let you answer it, and then we'll knock out our sponsors again, and we'll be done for the day. But situation of the week here, second series of the game on offense for your team. The opponent scored on their first 2 drives. You did not score on your first. It is 14-0. You need some momentum so this thing doesn't get out of hand. You're 3rd and 8 from your own 4-yard line. That makes sense. You started on your 2. I was like, man, I don't know if that makes sense or not.
Our kickoff return apparently really sucked.
Way backed up. That's right. Maybe there's a penalty or something. They're showing a ton of blitz so far, and it's really got your quarterback shaking. He's young. He's not handling the pressure well. Where does your mindset go? Maybe not even a play call, but what are you thinking on the sideline? What are you talking to your coaches about or your players to go build some momentum on a 3rd and 8 from your own 4?
It's tough, man. This year in the playoffs, we got down 10-0. Similar, we weren't at our own 4-yard line, but got down big. And so on my call sheet, I think I've got one here. So my call sheet, if you don't get to watch this, sorry guys, but if you're watching over here on the far right corner, I have these, I call them drive starters, or a lot of people calling them P and 10s. So like these are your possession and 10s. And when I get to talk, I talk a lot about this. I don't need a 1st and down play call.
Right.
Because if I 1st and down means I just picked up a 1st down and I can kind of just go. But that section up in that call sheet is usually for what Daniel's talking about. All crap's breaking loose and your normal stuff's not working. And everybody in the stands is letting me know about it. Now, what are you calling? So we have about 5 or 6 of these each week that we come up with on Sunday that are maybe a tendency breaker, or maybe a wrinkle off of something, or a tag off of, hey, we've run a ton of smash. What if we ran smash and ran the cop route, like crossed them? Or let's say we've run a ton of, B peak, throwing the peak route to our B a ton. Do we have a complement off of that? So we try to have that little segment up in that top left. So long answer to your question, I'm probably going to that part. Like, what's something that we haven't shown, that's a wrinkle, it's kind of new, that we can run? And if my quarterback's in the frame of mind you just talked about, we're probably looking at one where he doesn't have to read it. So it's probably going to be a 1, 2, 3 foot in the ground ball. As you can almost close your eyes and throw it. I call those, basically it's 1, 2, 3, throw the ball. I don't care. It's picked, it's my fault. Yep. One of those type of concepts. And go fast forward back to that story I was talking about. So here's a one for you, a real one. How about 3 minutes to go with your season on the line, and you're down we're down 14 to 17, and they punt you down to the 1. That's where we were. And we did one of those, and quarterback wasn't rattled, a good kid, but he played the whole game, was exhausted. So we've run a ton of peaks. That safety's hanging in there. We're going to go with what we call pyramid, dig post. 99 yards later, we took the lead because it was a no think. All crap's breaking loose. Everybody's yelling at each other on the sideline. Your season's on the line. Let's give him an easy 1, 2, 3, stick my foot in the ground. I've thrown this ball 100 times this year, put it deep. And then what's a compliment off something we've been running already. We've already been running this. We have not shown this. Here it is. And so that's where you go on your sheet to put those. And if you don't run them, you just keep them on the sheet for the next week. So hopefully by when we were in week 13, there were about 6 plays I could pick from up there that haven't really shown which one works for us, and you can go to it. Because in those moments, it's difficult. It's hard to find something. Everything kind of blurs, and you're just looking for, give me something.
Yeah, for sure. I love it, man. That's great. Sweet, man. Let's jump into the sponsors one more time. Remember, Ace Sports is the one that's really helping us keep this podcast going. You guys reach out to them. Reach out to Mark, and he can hook you up with your regional guy. Like I said, we added Michael Beaumont. He's out Tennessee and the East Coast. We've got RJ and his wife are up running the Kentucky area and moving into the Midwest. you can always holler at Kenny. You can always holler at me. There's people all over the place that are really helping Ace Sports do their thing. Jump over to acesports.com and look at their the video boards and stuff there. Email mark.bridges@acesports.com to really get the in-depth stuff from Mark. Remind you about Winning Edge Performance Analytics. It's a great time to get involved in that. It is an annual program, so you pay it, you have it for the rest of the year, but it's going to give you a chance to get good at it. It takes practice to input data. It's a big change from, hey, I'm in the booth, I'm watching one guy or one position or half a field or whatever your guy has you watching and just talking through versus now I'm going to be inputting data. It took a little getting used to. It's very worth the investment. Both time and financially, I think it's absolutely worth the investment. So jump over and check out winningedgeperformanceanalytics.com for that. And then don't forget our friends over at Blended Threads out of Jones, Oklahoma. He can help you out no matter where you're at. He was telling me the other day he's handling business out of Arizona and New Mexico, California. He's kind of shipping stuff all over the place. He'll do whatever he can to reduce costs for you. If you need sideline apparel for your coaching staff, this is a great way to get in and get it in bulk. If you're wanting to sell stuff at a football game, I know that was a really neat thing about going to Owasso and these bigger teams was, man, they had a fan store, right? The pro shop is open when the fans walk in. Kenny, I'm sure y'all are doing something similar over there. But when your fans come in and they can go shop for some apparel, hey, it's a little colder tonight than expected. I didn't bring a jacket. Hey, baby, I got you an Under Armour fluffy jacket right here waiting on you, right? So if you're wanting to do something similar to that or create a sales website, he can fulfill all those orders for you. Let me scroll. I'm going to get the number back out there. 405-434-4385. You'll probably be talking to Morgan. Morgan's the one that runs day in and day out, but Steve Hudgens, military guy, a veteran of he retired, so 20 plus years. And then he's also a law enforcement officer, a captain there for the Shawnee Police Department. Blended Threads LLC out of Jones, Oklahoma. Holler at them. Let them know that we sent you. So that way they know that we're doing our part on this side of the partnership. That's it, man. Let's talk about your new books real quick. 0-10 to 10-0 hit the shelves. Amazon #1 bestseller. I don't know. When does that turn into a New York? What is the #1 bestseller up there? Do you think we can?
New York Times. I don't know if we get up there.
Translate Amazon sales to New York Times.
Yeah. Well, I'll be another one too. I'll probably promote this at the next podcast too. That Buck book. I've had that done for a bit. I finally put it up, so it's coming out. Probably going to be early February, which is exciting because it's a comprehensive guide of shotgun buck sweep that goes to the evolution, buck sweep under center, how it transitioned, problems in the gun, and then it's a ton of how we teach it, how we run it, the RPOs we attach to it, the formations we attach to it. Had a lot of guys asking me, hey, I just want all your buck stuff in one material. So 175 pages worth will be available soon.
Love that. Love that. Jump into fbcoachsimpson.com and check out all the things he has for sale. All of his books are there. If you're wanting to learn the 10 lessons that made Kenny from an 0-win head coach to a 10-0 head coach, that book is out there. If you need to know buck, go get the playbooks. Go do the team themes books. Man, all of those are meant to help you upgrade your program. So don't be afraid to delve into some of those. Social media wise, I am at Coach Chambo OK on Twitter /X. You can email me at chamberlainfootballconsulting@gmail.com. The Patreon is back alive and popping over there. Patreon.com/Chamberlain Football Consulting. Got lots of good stuff there. There's tiers, man. Go check out the tiers. If you're needing help understanding ball better or how to coach whatever position group, how to build a practice schedule. Coach, I suck at drills and my head coach is really leaning on me. I'm a first-year guy. I'm a fifth-year guy. I'm a 10th-year guy. There's a tier for you. If not, DM me or email me, and we'll build one out and make it fit what you can do. Kenny, where are you at, sir?
All things FB Coach Simpson. So FB Coach Simpson at Gmail for email, at FB Coach Simpson on Twitter, FBCoachSimpson.com. Like Daniel said, if you want to do one of the clinics or look at materials.
Yes, and we didn't really talk about the clinics as much. I know we are in season. The first one's done. Kenny's back into treading water now. Right now, it's just stay alive through the end of clinic season.
Try to make it through.
Find you one. He's got them all. 10 of them this year. 9 of them. They're all over the country. Find one. I didn't mention our clinic, and I need to. The 425 clinic. We will be in Boston. So if you're going to Kenny's, you can't come to ours because we're there at the exact same time. But if you aren't going to Kenny's yet, the 425 defensive clinic will be going on just across the street there. We'll be down in Milton, Massachusetts. So jump over to joedanielfootball.com/425 Boston, I think. You could just go to the website and figure it out from there. The clinic we are kicking off that same weekend that Kenny's in Boston. We'll be there. Come meet everybody, get our autographs, whatever the goofy stuff y'all want to do. Anyway, the clinics are going. Podcast is at Coaching 101 Pod on Twitter. On Twitter/X. You can find us on all your favorite podcatchers. I want to thank you for being a listener to the Coaching 101 podcast. We hope you'll join us next week as we continue to make the complex more simple. Please consider subscribing to the show so you'll always know when the new episodes are out. We'll leave you with this. It's hard to beat someone who never gives up. No matter the situation, find a way.